Hello and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and in today's episode, we are talking about investing in smart buildings for the future. I'm joined today by Beat Vanza. He's the head of Siemens Smart Infrastructure, Service and Solutions Portfolio Group. Beat, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, John, for inviting me.
It's an absolute pleasure, so thank you for the time. Today, we're talking about investing in smart buildings, and first we want to talk about what do we mean when we talk about smart buildings, when we talk specifically about what they offer. How would you summarize what we mean when we say smart buildings?
Yeah. So smart buildings really are characterized by being able to address different stakeholders within a building, right? Mm-hmm. So normally you would have tenants, you can have operator, you can have facility manager, and you can also have the users of the buildings. And all those stakeholders have very different requirements vis-a-vis a building. Now, what COVID has shown us also is that the building needs to be able to have a high level of adaptability and flexibility because requirements change coming from the outside world. And then last but not least is it requires to have technology that needs to continuously adapt to the individual's requirements of the stakeholders, and that inside the building, but also outside the building, and most important, also over the whole life cycle of a building. And since we don't know whether COVID is going to go away, buildings also need to be proven to be able to adapt to future requirements coming from the outside world.
Perfect. So you're talking about that COVID has proven to us that things can change and things need to be changed within the operation and the functionality of the building. And if we can achieve that today, it means, in a month's time, a year's time, 10 years' time, we have a building that can continue to deliver those benefits.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, and I think there is never a better moment in order to invest in smart buildings than it's actually today.
If I was a customer, if I was a building owner, and I went through the process of investing and creating a smart building, whether it was a greenfield site, a new building, or it was an existing building, that I bring some of that technology that you talk about in to deliver this smart building benefits. From a building owner perspective, what are some of the benefits? What are those additional reasons that I would go ahead and invest in a smart building with that kind of functionality?
So what you're looking at really is three different requirements. The first one is OpEx reduction. You want to make sure that your OpEx of maintaining a building are continuously optimized. The second one is that you have operational excellence in a building, and through that also remote connectivity of a building. And the third one is what makes a building smart is really it's got to be people-centric. So the tenants want to be able to interact with the building and its infrastructure.
Perfect. I would love to jump into each of those in a little bit of detail, if that's okay with you. I think the first one you mentioned was OpEx reduction. How can a smart building help deliver that benefit to an operator?
Yeah, so traditional buildings were very much focused on energy efficiency. And why is that so? Because 80% of the cost of a building are actually incurring after the building has been constructed. So that means that there is a lot of requirement and focus on optimizing the building and the energy efficiency, improve the energy efficiency during the life cycle of the building. And that requires a lot of information, which helps then also continuously optimize the operational excellence of a building, and therefore then also adapt to the future needs of the tenants. So that requires also predictive maintenance, specifically during COVID times. You want to make sure that the building is actually sound and safe, even by investing or through investment into predictive maintenance.
Yeah, perfect. And I can imagine in times like COVID, not only that predictive maintenance, but the ability for people going through the process of delivering from a remote location would deliver a huge amount of benefit from that perspective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've seen during COVID times is that buildings still need to be maintained, but on the other side, you're potentially not able to enter the building in a safe way. So what is the opportunity is remote connectivity that allows you to maintain and operate the building 7/24 remotely, right? That's one of the benefits. And the second one is also that this is specifically the time when you might have a lower loads on the building, that you can do refurbishment work and also upgrades then during the times when the building is not used as much as it was if it's fully loaded. Last but not least, also, if you look at the different requirements of a building, that you do have, be that a production building where you have less flexibility versus an office building where you have more flexibility of bringing in more or less people. That is also something that you can steer through remote connectivity.
Yeah, and I can imagine it would have a huge impact because, like you described at the start, what we're recognizing in times like COVID is that almost on a daily basis, not just the functionality, but the usage of the buildings is changing. And some of the benefits you just described, you can't be physically on site and investing the time to make those changes, to test, to verify on the regular basis that we're seeing at the moment. So that remote connectivity brings a huge amount of power to deliver that requirement and make sure people are safe and also recognize those OpEx reductions that you talked about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. And the last one you mentioned was a big one and an important one, like one of the key differentiators between what we would refer to as a smart building and maybe a traditional building of the past is around people centricity. Give us some examples here.
Yeah, people centricity really means that as a building owner, you're in the position to interact with the building, right? So making sure that the building adapts to your personal requirements and not vice versa. And also shown that smart buildings actually increase the productivity of the users of a building. Why is that though? Because the users feel a lot more comfortable in the building, and through that higher level of comfort, that increases the productivity. Now, how does a building generate an increase in productivity? Because the building makes sure that for the specific needs of the building user, it has it caters to the specific needs of the user in terms of humidity, but also air quality, in terms of desk booking, and last but not least, and also in terms of lighting control. And what we have at Siemens is we have deployed in more than 300 locations worldwide C-Connect, which is our comfy application from building robotics, and that has proven to be a huge success and driving productivity then within the users of a building.
That's a really good point that you mentioned because I know that Siemens is committed to rolling this out across a lot of their sites globally. What are some of the key benefits that you see that are kind of delivering that productivity for the employees within those buildings?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we are able to bring back employees safe to the workplace. But it means only the capacity in a building that is actually required and considered to be safe. So that gives a good feeling for the employees, first of all. The second one is there is significant functionality also built into in terms of room booking, in terms of booking your desk, in terms of opening and accessing the building in there, specifically for the user and depending on the user rights that you have. So that increases productivity, but specifically also the level of comfort that the user has in a building.
Yeah, and I really like that example because the comfort, the room booking, the functionality of a day. This is something that we know about, but delivering safety and that feeling of safety is something that maybe a year ago we didn't think as a core function of a technology like this. So it demonstrates how flexible this technology can be when you have it in a building and you have it deployed and ready to go, so you can absorb those interesting use cases when they arise.
Correct. And I mean, COVID has also shown us that we might require less space in the future, but that space needs to be a lot more intelligence, right? And that also is an opportunity for upgrading, continuously upgrading existing buildings and turning them into smart buildings.
Yeah, and I like that one as well because we talked about the benefits for the occupant and how it can improve their day, but those benefits are also backed up by information for the operator or the real estate company or those managing the space. You can make some of the decisions that you just described with information rather than a customer survey or an employee survey or something like this. Bayat, thank you so much. I very much enjoyed the conversation, so thank you for joining us.
So did I.
And thank you to everyone out there who is listening or watching us here on Buildings of Tomorrow. Please feel free to like, comment, or share this episode. Subscribe to us on your favorite channel and keep an eye out for new episodes coming in the future. We'll see you soon.